All right, testing in here. Is that coming out okay from the speakers? Wonderful. Good morning, friends. Good morning. For those who are here in the sanctuary, you may notice we're having some audio issues. We can't figure out why our big speakers are not working. So when we have the very limited music coming out of the computer, it'll come from this computer, which is much smaller, but we'll make it work. Those of you who are joining us online, your audio should be just fine as long as I remember to mute my speakers here on this laptop so you don't hear my echo coming through. I like the sound of my own voice, but not that much. All right, friends, welcome, welcome. It's the first Sunday in June. Today we are celebrating Flower Communion here at UU's of Mount Airy. I'm Reverend McKinley Sims. I use he, him pronouns, and I am ready to go for today, even with all this stuff. Thanks to Mike Foy, who is behind the scenes, working furiously like a swan paddling on the cool surface of the water. Looks fine above the surface, but underneath it is chaos. Thank you for being here with us today. Let's get centered, take a couple of breaths, and let the ringing of this chime bring us into this space. Friends, you are welcome here in this place where we celebrate a universal love. We thank you for being with us, whether you are here in the sanctuary, joining us online, or finding us however you will. Our mission here at UU's of Mount Airy is to build beloved community by embracing all souls and nurturing wholeness. As we begin our service with the lighting of our chalice, if you have one at home, I invite you to light it along with us. I'm going to light ours here in the sanctuary and invite you to say these chalice lighting words that may be familiar to many of us. Would you read them with me? We light this flame for the light of truth. We light this chalice for the warmth of community. We light this for the energy of action. Blessed be. I had the wrong lyrics here on my screen. Sorry about that. Our opening hymn is number 346, Come Sing a Song With Me. I invite you to follow along with the lyrics that are in the video, both here in person and at home. Number 346.
Share a rose
Thank you, friends. So move deeper into our service. Part of building beloved community and nurturing wholeness in ourselves and in one another can take the form of sharing of our joys and sorrows, of making space for the ups and downs in this life of what it is to be human. So I invite you to take a second to check in with yourself, listen to your body. Where are you holding tension? What emotions are you feeling? How's your spirit today? And in a moment, I'm going to start playing a little bit of music, and I invite those who are here in the sanctuary to come up and light a candle in memory of someone about whom you are thinking, in honor of the emotions that you're feeling, for hopes, for dreams, for wishes, for prayers, whatever you need it to be. We make space for that today. Those of us who are online, I invite you to use the chat function on Zoom to share your joys and sorrows. And if we can make it, no, we can't make that, because we won't be able to hear you. No. What we were going to do was to try and integrate the open sharing from those online and those in person. But today the gremlins decided to act up in our audio, so we can only do one at a time. I apologize for that. Regardless, we're glad that you're here. I know there's a lot going on in our city, the continued scourge of gun violence. Some of us are still reeling from the shootings in Buffalo and Uvalde. There's a lot to hold today, and the goal of this part of our service is to help hold it together, to hold one another. So I invite you to come as you are willing and able up to the front to light a candle. If you would like to speak into the microphone to name what you are feeling or to name the person on your heart, please do so. Those of us who are online, you can use the Zoom chat function. Yes, please. Thank you. Come, whoever you are, the table of joys and concerns is open. And Mike, we don't want that music to play, so we're good.
I'm McKinley.
Make sure it's on.
Hello? It is, thank you. Hello, my name is Annie, and today I would like to light a candle for LGBTQIA plus Pride Day. This is very important. I celebrate us, and I think about all of the struggles that we are going through right now to keep our rights.
Hi, my name's Craig. My own. Thank you. I'm feeling really deep sadness today. The accumulation of everything going on in the world, my own struggle with staying focused, staying positive. So I'm searching for hope. Thank you.
Just real quick. My name's Sharon, and ditto to all the other things, but my daughter's going to be here briefly Monday and Tuesday, and she actually asked to come and have dinner together, and I haven't seen her since she left Philadelphia, which is over a year and a half ago, and she's not been very communicative. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that things will go as best as possible. Thank you.
Friends, would you join me in a moment of silence for those prayers and hopes held in the quiet of our hearts, for our feelings that pour forth from our bodies and souls? You join me in this holy stillness in honoring all of the joys and sorrows of this congregation. Amen. Blessed be. Thank you. Today's service is in remembrance and in recognition of the 99th anniversary of the first flower communion created by Reverend Dr. Norbert Čapek in Czechoslovakia. And it's traditionally a ritual that we use to end most of our church calendar year. So you'll see some flowers up here that when we get to the ritual part of the service, I invite you to come, bring a flower if you have not placed it up here already, and take a different flower than the one you brought. Folks who are joining us at home, if you want to swing by later this afternoon and drop off a flower and take one, we're going to put these vases outside of Hale Hall. I invite you to do that. And when you do, as we will talk about here in a moment, the ritual part of this service is that we bring all our different buds and flowers into this space. And we put them in a common container. And it's notable that they're all different, symbolizing our diversity, our uniqueness, our inherent worth and dignity. And with all that's going on in our world and in our city, celebrating the beauty of the small things feels very good to me. So with that in mind, I'm going to share a reading from a book called Crisis Contemplation by the Reverend Dr. Barbara Holmes. These words have been speaking to me. They're about healing through times of trauma. So I invite you to hear these words. I am a gardener, a lover of dark soil and rooted mysteries. The fact that flowers, herbs, and vegetables eventually burst forth from dampened seeds is always a wonder. It is also a joyful surprise when people who have been harmed to the extreme find peace and healing, even while trauma continues. My anecdotal observations of my own community, Barbara Holmes is a black woman, have convinced me that the roots of healing are deeply sown by the same Spirit with a capital S that hovered over creation during the Let There Be transformation of the world. The shamans and root workers, aunties and folk healers long gone have taught us that everything we need to heal was within our reach. Even salty tears could cure raw wounds if we could stand the pain. Even salty tears could cure raw wounds if we could stand the pain. She offers this prayer. May our individual tears moisten the soil of our common humanity, germinating seeds of hope, compassion, and mercy that will blossom and heal our collective suffering. As one of the first steps toward healing and survival, we must take a big gulp of reality. We have to admit that we have been broken before we can be healed. We can't heal until we grieve the events that have wounded us, release the spiritual toxins left behind, and open ourselves to something new. Communal grieving offers something that we cannot get when we grieve by ourselves. During the worst of times, we must collectively listen for the rustle of the Spirit with a capital S, and ready ourselves to move when the Spirit says move. I'm hopeful today's ritual, if this is your first time doing flower communion, if this is your 30th time doing flower communion, I hope that we can take intention into it today and have it feel like a healing ritual. For even while trauma continues, because it continues and continues and continues. Taking small moments of community to focus on the blessings of community and the beauty of flowers is a small act of resistance. Resistance against the despair and the hopelessness that might otherwise overwhelm me. So I'm glad to be here today with all of you, to honor the flower communion, to honor the diversity and wonderment of this congregation, and I invite you all into that space as well. I want to invite Annie Gaheb up to sing us some special music before we do the flower communion ritual. Annie has a song from Sweet Honey in the Rock.
This song is called I'm Gonna Stand. Now, there's a part of this that you can sing along with if you'd like. So that when I sing, what you gonna do? I'm going to say, what you gonna do? And you can sing, I'm gonna stand, I'm gonna stand, I'm gonna stand, I'm gonna stand. Do you want to try that? Yes. I'm gonna stand, I'm gonna stand, I'm gonna stand, I'm gonna stand. Sounds good. We shall not bow down to racism. We shall not bow down to injustice. We shall not bow down to exploitation. What we gonna do? We're gonna stand. I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna stand. Just won't tolerate gun violence. Just won't tolerate injustice. Just won't tolerate homophobia. What you gonna do? I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna stand. If you feel like standing at that part, you can. Just won't tolerate racism. Just won't tolerate injustice. Just won't tolerate exploitation. Just won't tolerate gun violence. Just won't tolerate homophobia. What you gonna do? I'm gonna stand. 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 Thanks for your help.
I got it. In her book, Crisis Contemplation, Reverend Dr. Barbara A. Holmes speaks of lots of different kinds of healing that can occur and ways to promote that healing. And one of those ways is through communal arts, through making something beautiful together. Making a mosaic over in Hale Hall, playing and singing music together, creating a tapestry of life, of all the different colors and kinds of threads that we have. My thought is that when we fail to recognize the common humanity in the great tapestry of our lives, it becomes so much easier to see someone as a thread to be snipped off the end. To use hate or violence, to use guns, to use policy, to use language, to make the other. I have a deep sense that that's where a lot of this starts, a lot of the roots of our issues, from wounds that have never been healed for more than 400 years of oppression. So when we have shootings on South Street in Philadelphia, at schools in Texas, at supermarkets in Buffalo, and on and on and on, I don't know what else to do. To pray feels like an easy let-off. To continually be angry and sad feels exhausting. And that's when I lean on my community, our community, to be together, to try and hold some of all of this. Because I don't know what else to do. But in our Building Your Own Theology class that's been meeting for the past couple of months, we shared a story of a Buddhist parable of a human who has come to the edge of a cliff and has fallen down and is holding on by one hand. And below them is a sheer drop, certain death. And above them, waiting for them to climb back up, are wild animals. Between a rock and a hard place with nowhere to go. As the person is dangling there, they turn to their left. They see a wild strawberry bush growing out of the side of the cliff. And even though there is danger above and death below, they reach out to grab the sweet berry, pop it in their mouth. In my tradition, there's a story of someone being asked, what would you do if you knew this was your last day on earth? If you knew the world would end tomorrow, what would you do today? They replied, I would plant a cherry tree. An act of defiance, an act of resilience, an act of hope for a future that we cannot see, for healing that we may not be able to understand or even envision. That's kind of the story of flower communion. My hope for us today is that we find a strawberry to eat, that we find something small and meaningful and beautiful in the midst of all of this. Because I don't know what else to do in this moment. I know what we could do as a community as far as organizing and working through the political systems. But in this moment, I don't know. All I have is to try and be present, to try and be human, to try and be open to everything that I'm feeling. I invite you into that openness too. And maybe we can make a little bit of beauty out of today. Would you take a breath with me as we start our flower communion ritual? If this is your first flower communion, here's a little bit of the background. Reverend Norbert Čapek was the founder of the Unitarian Church in Czechoslovakia. He created the first flower communion 99 years ago, yesterday, I believe, the 4th. In his home congregation, Dr. Čapek, who had been a minister before World War I, fled with his family to America, was a pastor here in the New Jersey area, before going back to his homeland in between the wars. And when he got back to his home country, the people in his congregation that he was serving felt like the rituals they had were hollow. That going up and taking the bread and the cup of wine for the Christian Lord's Supper, for the Eucharist meal, didn't seem to resonate anymore. Not after the horrors of the First World War. Dr. Čapek, recognizing the trauma that everyone was undergoing and the need for healing, invited his people to gather wildflowers from the roads and the hillsides, from their homes, their villages, to bring them to the Unitarian Church. It said he felt the need for a symbolic ritual that would bring people emotionally and spiritually closer together, and at the same time not alienate any who had left other religious traditions. So he turned the most basic framework of gathering together in a spirit in which we all live and move. He turned to nature and chose the flower to be the central symbol of the Great Communion. not just between the divine and the human, but between the natural world and all of her pieces. People with nature, people with one another, people with the life-sustaining spirit of life. Flower communion came to the U.S. in 1940 from Dr. Chopek's wife, Maya, because Reverend Dr. Norbert Chopek chose to stay during Nazi occupation. He did not come back to America, instead promoting his progressive religious ideals of the uniqueness of individuals, the common bounds of love. And for that, he was deemed too dangerous to be left alive. He was arrested, sent to a concentration camp, tortured and killed. So when we look at the beauty of the flowers and the simplicity of the ritual, it's born out of deep love that comes from deep pain. And isn't that what it is to be alive? Especially these days, it feels like. The ritual was back then and still is today very simple. As you've done this morning, some folks have brought flowers up into these vases to make a beautiful visual of the communal art of this congregation. So in a moment, we're going to consecrate these, saying that they are very special for this moment and purpose. And then I'm going to invite you who are here in the sanctuary to come up one at a time, take a flower, a petal, whatever you wish, or simply to be in their presence. The flowers are a symbol of diversity, the free gifts of nature, the power of life, the beauty of the world, nature's quiet and faithful dignity. And just as no two flowers are alike, so no two people are alike. And together the flowers form a bouquet. Beautiful, sometimes a little prickly. A congregation like a bouquet would not be the same without the unique addition of each individual flower. And our church community is beautiful and diverse, and sometimes a little prickly. Yet you would not be you without each and every one present. We would not be us without each and every one present. So before us are our flowers, representing everyone gathered here. So I invite you to join me in closing your eyes if you would like, and settling in and hearing the words that Reverend Chopek used in the original 1923 blessing. In the name of the providence which implants in the heart of the seed the future of flowers, and which implants in our hearts the unrest which will not be quenched till people live lovingly with each other, we bless these flowers. In the name of the highest in which we move and take our being, in the name of the deepest, which makes father, mother, sister, brother, sibling, lover, loner, who they are, we bless these flowers. In the name of the prophets and sages who sacrificed their lives to hasten the coming of the reign of mutual respect, we bless these flowers. Friends, let us sincerely renew our resolution to be siblings regardless of the barriers which estrange us. May these flowers be for us the sign of the glory and variety to which we aspire, knowing that we are one family, the family of both spirit and nature. In this holy resolve, may we be strengthened by the spirit of love, that we ourselves may bloom, that we ourselves may bloom, that we ourselves may bloom in a splendor of joyful life, and endeavor to ever be more whole in our days. Amen. If you would like to participate in this ritual, I invite you to come up and take a flower other than the one you brought. Maybe take a part of a flower if we're going to run low, and we might have enough. I invite you to come up by this far aisle and then go back by the center aisle, if you will. And then once you arrive at your flower communion altar, I would like you to take your time and really see the beauty and the variety, the diversity, to feel the presence of those who make our community real and powerful, to imagine the journey these flowers have been on to be here and now. And if you don't feel comfortable to come all the way up, but you'd like a flower brought to you, give me a little wave, and I can make that happen. Friends, let our flower communion begin. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, lover of Lee, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, lover of Lee, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. 嗯 Friends, may the beauty of these flowers remind us of the beauty of life, the fragility of life, the diversity of life, and the necessity of life. May there be peace on earth, in our cities, in our homes. It may begin with us in our own bodies, in our community, the 3 feet of space around us. May we honor the lives of those who came before. May we live our lives to be our highest selves. And may we always aspire to heal and be healed, knowing that even salty tears can cure raw wounds. May it be so. Amen. I can invite us into those of us who are in the sanctuary to simply sit and be during this next part when we do the offertory. We're not going to pass a plate this morning. We will have a plate at the rear of the sanctuary if you would like to make a donation. If this is your first time with us, there's no expectation that you give anything, but if you are wanting to donate financial resources, you can follow the instructions on the screen. You can head to our website, click on the donate button, and select either the offering plate that goes towards the operating fund of this church, or to select the Change for Change organization that goes to a different social justice group every month. And for June, it is UU the Vote, the National Unitarian Universalist effort to do voter registration, get out the vote work, to promote democracy and liberty for all. If you have your smartphone, you can use the Vanco mobile app. If you would like to just simply write a check and drop it in the plate at the rear, you may do that as well. We know there are many ways to give back to this congregation, many flowers in our vase. The giving of monies is just one of them, but the offering of financial resources will now be given and gratefully received. It's almost an encore. Almost an encore. Friends, as we get ready to extinguish our chalice this morning and end our time together, please remember to stick around for some digital fellowship for those who are online. I don't know that we have coffee this morning. We do not have coffee hour in person this morning, so hopefully soon we will have that back every week. But for today, I invite you to stick around and chat for just a little bit and to check in with folks later this week. Being in contact with one another is one of the ways that we build beloved community. The flower vases will go outside of Hale Hall after this service, so those of you who are at home, if you would like to come by and drop one off and take one, please do so. We will have announcement slides at the end of the service with some postlude music, and invite you to ask any questions of what else is coming up in the next few weeks in the life of this Mount Airy congregation. For now, the words to extinguish our chalice come from Barbara Chatham. They're on your screen. I invite you to read them along with me. Before we gather here again, may each of us bring happiness into another's life. May we each be surprised by the gifts that surround us. May each of us be enlivened by constant gratitude. May we remain together in spirit till the hour we meet again. Our closing hymn is number 1007. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. I don't think we have pre-recorded music, so it's going to be just us and a guitar. I'll come out here so we can do this a little more freely. I invite you to sing along as you will. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. Let's do There's a River Flowing in My Soul one more time. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. Sometimes the best we can do is get together and grieve and celebrate and dance and sing and make art and beauty in defiance of despair and hopelessness. And if that is all we have accomplished today, that is a day well spent. Friends, I invite you to take the beauty that you have hopefully found here out into the world, a world that needs the light and beauty of this place more than ever. Would you go and be light, go and be love, go and be healing for those who need it? To love and serve the world in honor of Dr. Norbert Chapek and all those who have come before us. May you go in peace, friends. Amen.